What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. How is everybody doing? This is your Aston Villa versus Manchester United preview and your Ralph Rangnick press conference, pre-match press conference reaction. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone's having a good Friday. Oh, it was an interesting one, that press conference. An interesting one. The Ralph Rangnick press conferences are always interesting. They're always interesting. He's not really one for playing that many games either when it comes to his press conferences. He says it pretty much how it is. Some comments I agreed with, some I didn't necessarily agree with. Some interesting news when it comes to tomorrow's game. Of course, we're playing Aston Villa tomorrow. It's a 5:30, I think, kickoff in the Premier League. So it's an evening kickoff. It's the evening kickoff after playing, of course, Aston Villa on Monday in the FA Cup. We played them at home. This time we're playing them away at Villa Park. And it's a curious one because just considering the performance or the lack thereof of a performance on Monday, I would be lying if I said I was totally optimistic when it comes to it. But anyway, guys, we're a little bit early today, so we'll let everyone file in. I thought, you know what, I'm ready. If I'm ready, we might as well just go. Might as well just go early and talk because we've got plenty of time. And these, when they're press conferences and previews, they tend to go quite a while. So what I like when we do the press conferences, I like to get you guys involved. I like to hear your opinions. I like to get your reactions. Of course, we can get your comments up on the screen. Such as Yash here, who says, hi Owen, hope you're well. Well, at least there you go. Says, hi Owen, hope you're well. Ash says, let's go, watching from Perth, Australia. According to Saeed, of course, if you watch the Christmas quiz, he said that Perth was the capital of Australia, when it's not. It's not. But I appreciate you joining us, Ash. Charlie says, glory, Man United. Vegas says, hello from Sweden. We've got such a global audience, such a global community. It's incredible. It's great. Abub says, Mr. Reliable, Owen, thank you for joining us. So, as always, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let's get into this press conference. And talk about some of the comments that were the Manchester United interim manager, Ralph Rangnick, said ahead of the trip to Villa Park tomorrow. Then we'll get into the preview. We'll get into some team news. We'll get into some predictions. We'll get into all that stuff. So the first question was from James Cooper from Sky Sports, who said that, of course, Manchester United played Aston Villa on Monday. Does it make it any harder playing them so soon, or does it actually give you an advantage considering you won that match? This is what Rangnick had to say, quote, at least we know what the challenge will be and how they are playing. We also know we can beat them. Now it is about the best possible performance in order to win again. So, to be honest with you, some of the questions, and you know what I'm like whenever I do these press conferences, sometimes the questions rile me up because they're just questions for questions' sakes. You know, they're not particularly probing. They're just questions I get. Like, it's weird being in the press conference because it's very political. Oh, it's very political, isn't it? Because you don't want to ask too probing of a question because you might not be invited back. But at the same time, you are a journalist and you've got to get a good response for your broadcast or for your paper or for your website or whatever. So it's a very nip and tuck kind of situation. So it was the answer you would expect. I have kind of a smidge of an issue being that, well, we beat Aston Villa, so we know we can beat them. We should know we can beat them because we're Manchester United. That should be kind of the situation there. Not in a case of being overconfident, of just looking around, being like, of course we can beat Aston Villa. Do what? We need to beat them first, and then we realise, oh, yeah, we can absolutely beat Aston Villa. Come on. Of course we can beat Aston Villa. If we play like we did Monday, we can't. But of course we can. So, as he says, it's a bit of a nothing question. And I really like James Cooper, I do. I'm a big fan of his work. But it's just one of those questions. There's not a lot of substance to it. The next question was kind of the same, to be honest with you. He said, you've been here for 6 weeks. Have you found the Premier League surprising? Is it the toughest league you've ever been in? I will stop it there because it's a bit of a pet peeve of mine. And I promised myself I wasn't going to get on like a rant this early. We have this thing being, you know, in the UK or in England specifically when it comes to the Premier League. We love to pat ourselves on the back when it comes to our Premier League, don't we? We love to. It's the best league in the world. No other league compares. It's the best league in the world. I would say there's a strong argument right now that it absolutely 100% is the best league in the world. But it's not always been, especially over like the last, I don't know, maybe the last few years, like kind of like what Cristiano Ronaldo said, maybe last 5 years, absolutely it's been the best league in the world. But there have been times over the course of the last couple of decades where it's not been the best league in the world. when Messi and Ronaldo were there, yes, the two top teams were dominating, but you also had Atletico Madrid, and it felt like every single time you had a Spanish team play an English side in any European competition, the Spanish team always won. And they actually had quite a lot of, top teams in their league. We love to rub our own ego, don't we, when it comes to the Premier League? It's the toughest league, right? Any manager that comes in for the first time, they'll always go, it's the toughest league, isn't it? Yeah, it's the toughest league, yeah. It's toughest league, isn't it? Yeah, you telling me it's the toughest league? Yeah, it's toughest league. It's difficult. We always say it. We always say it. And they were looking for the same response from Ralph here. And this is what he said. In regards to being surprised, he said, quote, "I wouldn't say it has surprised me. No winter break is what I expected. What surprised me a little is how physically and tactically astute the smaller teams in the league are. Against the bottom teams, it's never easy." He mentioned that, of course, in Germany, when you've got, say, Bayern Munich playing the sides in the bottom half of the league, 8-9 times out of 10 they win that match. Maybe there might be an upset, but if there is, people go crazy because of it. Whereas obviously that's different here. Every match is a difficult match, and that's true. That's true. It's certainly, and again, I don't even know if I necessarily believe this, because when they say our Premier League's the most competitive league in the world, I suppose it is in the case of that maybe that top 4 or 5, but even that you could say, there's like 6 teams that could win the league. Well, not really. Over the last few years, not really. It's been Man City or Liverpool, and going into the season, maybe it was more competitive because you thought, well, maybe Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea, and even some people were saying United could have challenged for the league. Remember that back then? But this idea that it's super, super competitive, is it? Is it? I don't know. Obviously every game is difficult, and maybe that's the competitive nature of it. Is legitimately you can lose to any team in the league, but again, I feel like we have a bit of a stroking ego when it comes to the Premier League. Of it's the toughest league in the world, and maybe it is. Certainly at the moment, I think it's the best league in the world. But we just have this thing. We just have this thing about the Premier League. I don't know. Anyway, moving on to the next question. When it comes to tomorrow's game, and also that's just a massive debate point anyway. You can let me know in the chat. Do you think that I would agree that certainly the Premier League right now is probably the best league in the world, probably the most competitive league in the world? I think that's fair to say right now, but I don't think it's always been. But you can let me know what you think when it comes to that in the live chat. Next question was from Simon Peach, who obviously asked about Maguire, Sancho, Ronaldo and Jones all not being available on Monday against Aston Villa in the FA Cup. So he asked Ralph, are they going to be available for tomorrow's game? Are they going to be in the squad? Are they going to be playing? Are they going to be in the starting lineup? What's going on there? This is what Rangnick had to say, quote, I think they, obviously referring to Ronaldo, Sancho, Maguire and Jones, will be available. They only trained yesterday for the first time. Cristiano yesterday, Harry the day before. As it seems right now, they should be available for tomorrow. And that kind of is in line what he was saying before the Villa game on Monday, where he said for a lot of these players, they're not major injuries. They're relatively minor injuries in the sense that Ronaldo, he kind of a couple of days before the Villa game on Monday, he'd had a conversation with Rangnick and said, look, it's nothing serious. It feels a bit tight, or it feels like there's something a bit off at the moment. I'm not really sure what it is. And Rangnick came to the decision of, well, if we're drawing this game, it could go 120 minutes in penalties. That's not worth losing Ronaldo for a longer period of time because we risked him for that game where we didn't need to be risked. Ultimately, we've got this giant squad that we don't really actually rotate and use that much. If we do have these players missing, that's why we've got these other players available to us. So I think he made the right decision when it came to Monday. But ultimately, it looks like they should all be available for tomorrow. Whether or not that means they're all going to be in the starting lineup, that's another topic to debate. But we'll talk about that later on when we go into the match preview as well. Amin says, Premier League has a mixture of all styles of football combined in one. The money in the Premier League is a factor as well. That's absolutely true. Certainly the Premier League, and I think that's what does make it competitive, is the amount of money there. The amount of money there is astronomical, isn't it? Even the smallest teams in the Premier League just being in there, the television revenue, that's ultimately why, when it comes to the pandemic, why the majority of the Premier League teams, obviously everyone took a hit, but certainly the big sides in the Premier League didn't take a hit like other big sides did in other leagues. Like Juventus lost a ton of money. Obviously, we know the situation when it comes to Barcelona, etc. All of those teams, unless you're owned by, like PSG, all of those teams took a big hit. The teams in the Premier League really didn't that much. I mean, Tottenham did, I suppose, but the rest didn't, because they've got such massive owners and they've got such amount of huge television rights deals and sponsorships in the Premier League, etc. So the money is, off the charts when it comes to the Premier League. Super chat from Ensar, appreciate the contribution, says, United is done. Greetings from Boston, Massachusetts. Well, appreciate the greetings from Boston. We might not be done just yet. Hopefully we can pick it up for the remainder of the season. Who knows? Fingers crossed. Factor says, 1 in 4 of us have hit the like. Let's improve that number. Yes, of course. You got to pump up those numbers, as they always say. You got to pump up those numbers. So after talking about Ronaldo and Maguire and Sancho and Jones being available tomorrow, the next question, a follow-up from Simon Peach, was about Dean Henderson. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of debate and discussion about Dean Henderson's future at Manchester United, what that future looks like. Is he going to be leaving in January? Is he going to be moving out on loan? We know Ralf Rangnick has been very open with the press and the fans, saying that Dean Henderson has asked to leave on loan. He's had conversations about it. There was a couple of things going around, wasn't there, about Dean Henderson on Monday. It was there was some news or rumours going around that he thought he was going to play. I saw that, and then he didn't, so he's kind of fallen out with Rangnick, and therefore he wasn't available. Then Rangnick has said no, he actually missed through illness. That's not true, so we don't really know what's going on. So the question was, obviously he's requested this loan move. Will he be staying ultimately in January? This is what Rangnick had to say, quote, I told him I would like him to stay. I can fully understand he wants to play. He's at an age where you should regularly be playing as a goalkeeper, but we're in 3 competitions and we need the 3 goalkeepers we have right now. The thing is with the Henderson one is I slightly disagree. I slightly disagree because I appreciate that Rangnick is saying that he sympathises and he empathises with Henderson's feelings at the moment, and that his feeling essentially is, look, I'm getting to an age, I'm a goalkeeper, it's important that I play. There is a World Cup coming up at the end of the year. If I had a big run in a side, who knows? I might be England's number 1. I mean, you never know. We've got quite a few good goalkeepers around right now, whether it's, Ramsdale, whether it's, Pickford. But you know what I mean? That spot isn't completely nailed down, I don't think, in the England squad. And I think Henderson thinks, well, if I had a run of games at a club, who knows? Who knows what could happen, especially when it comes to the World Cup. But I understand what Rangnick is saying, that you need to have that strong number 2 and you need to have that strength and depth. My only thing is that he hasn't played, and I'm not sure I just buy into hypotheticals anymore when it comes to stuff like that. We're in 3 competitions, yes, but David De Gea is starting in all 3 of those competitions. So it's not a case of we need 3 goalkeepers because in each competition we're playing a different goalkeeper. It's not as even if in the FA Cup we've got a cup goalkeeper. I'm not even really behind that philosophy anyway. I hate the idea. This is a guy who used to play in goal. I hate the idea of having a cup goalkeeper. Oh, you play in cup competitions? No, you're the number 1 and you're the number 2. And if the number 1 drops out, the number 2 comes in. That's always how I always saw it, playing football and all that kind of stuff. So I think from Henderson's point of view, he probably had these conversations with Rangnick and says, look, I want to play. There's a World Cup coming up this year and I need to play. And I was told when I signed my deal I was going to play. Granted, that's not you that told me that. That's the previous manager. Nevertheless, I want to play. And I'm happy to leave on loan to get that playing time. If I was then told, well, we've got 3 competitions, we need 3 goalkeepers, I would say, okay, am I going to start in any of those competitions? And the answer obviously is no. He's not going to start in any of those competitions because we've seen Ralf Rangnick now in 3 competitions. Yes, Henderson started in that Champions League game, but that's because that Champions League game meant nothing. It was against young boys at home. We were already through. You can't tell me when we play Atletico Madrid in March or whenever it is, you can't tell me Dean Henderson's going to play that game because he's not. David De Gea is going to play that game. David De Gea is going to play tomorrow. In the next game in the FA Cup, I guess maybe Henderson might play because it's Middlesbrough. They're a championship team at home. But frankly, considering the importance of that competition, because it's the only realistic chance we've got of winning a trophy this season, you would think David De Gea will probably play that game as well. So if I was Henderson, I would say, well, granted, we're in 3 competitions and you might think you need 3 goalkeepers, but I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play. And I would be like, fair enough, go. Like I said, I'm over players being unhappy and staying at the club regardless. people can say, well, is Tom Heaton the best backup goalkeeper? Maybe not. But David De Gea's fitness record speaks for itself. He's never injured, ever. And maybe this is the massive jinx, but he's very rarely injured. The only reason was it last year that he even came out of the team was the birth of his child. Apart from that, his fitness record's very good. And so I would say, you know what, go. If you're unhappy, go. Because the quickest win and the quickest fixes we can have right now is getting players out the door that are unhappy. The biggest problem is the dressing room, is the mentality. And I'm not saying that Dean Henderson, he's this massive problem, but if he's an unhappy player, he should go. That's it. So that's it. That's the situation. And as Yash says, even in that game, Henderson only played 45 minutes. Tom Heaton came on. So I just... Fat Thor says, Owen, as a goalkeeper, would you be happy if you know you're assured of playing time and at least domestic cup matches? It depends. It depends what your assurances are. If you know you're the cup goalkeeper and that's what you've agreed to, then that's fine. I think Dean Henderson is a bit different because when he signed his deal, he kind of, I guess, was told that he was probably going to be Manchester United's number one at some point, and that hasn't happened. So, you know, and he sees himself as a number one goalkeeper. You know, other goalkeepers come to clubs knowing exactly that they're going to be the number two. They're going to be the cup goalkeeper, and that's their role, and they're fine with that. I don't think Henderson has that in mind. And like I said, for me, I would just say, okay, fine, go. You know, and maybe it would come back to bite us. And maybe we would have at some point this season Tom Heaton in goal, and you'd be like, see, I told you this is why we should have kept Dean Henderson. But I think David De Gea's fitness record speaks for itself. I really do. Next question was from Ben Ranson, who asked for an update on Donny van der Beek. Now, we've spoken about Donny van der Beek this morning and yesterday as well. We spoke about his situation at Manchester United. Of course, another guy that's not playing, and there's been lots of rumours now about him possibly leaving in January on loan. I think there's been rumours of Newcastle, there's been rumours of Borussia Dortmund. So the question was from Ben Ranson, what's the latest when it comes to Van der Beek? Is there interest in him? Could he be allowed to leave in January, whether it's permanently on loan? And again, Ralf Rangnick, to his credit, very open, very honest, said, quote, it's the same situation as Dean. I had a conversation with him 2 weeks ago, and I told him I would advise him to stay until the end of the season. With the World Cup coming up in the winter, he wants to play. He also mentioned that Louis van Gaal was essentially told Ralf Rangnick told Donny van der Beek that Donny needs to play more regularly. If he wants to play regularly for his national side, he needs to play regularly for his club side, and that's fair. And he also says, I understand his desire to play. And this is kind of the situation with Donny, isn't it? Is that, again, I really do sympathise. I really do sympathise with Donny van der Beek, because he's looking at it now going, look, obviously I wasn't playing under Solskjaer. The previous manager, for whatever reason, didn't fancy me, didn't rate me. Okay, new guys come in, and it's the same situation. If you don't rate me, or if you don't think I'm good enough, just let me go, even on loan. And I understand also from Rangnick's perspective of, but we need players in the squad, you know, COVID and squad rotation and this, that and the other, and what if we get injuries and we still do have competitions and we've got, you know, was it 3 games a week or a game every 3 days, we're going to need rotation. That's fine, but the proof is also in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding of, you can say we need players because of rotation, we need players because of COVID, we need players because we've got a game every 3 days, but Donny's still not playing. We're having this game every 3 days, but Donny's still not playing in any of them. So we've got a game, obviously, tomorrow. We've then got Brentford in the week, and then we've got West Ham. If Donny van der Beek doesn't play in any of those games, then he'll be like, wow, then what you're telling me I need to stay for because you need squad depth, but I'm not being used anyway. You know, and then he just, like I said earlier on, he's just a seat filler. He's just a seat filler at that point. And from his perspective, he's like, if I stay here and for the rest of the season and I don't play, I'm really risking it. I'm really risking it about not making that World Cup squad, because I'm not making the Dutch squads right now. And it's at the end of the year, that World Cup. It's a bit of a different one. And I might not have enough time. I can go to another club in the summer. I might get sold in the summer. I might go out on loan in the summer. Who's to say that's enough time? By that point, my fate might be sealed when it comes to the Dutch squad, and I might just not get in. Now, obviously, it could be a bit different because in the summer, Erik ten Hag comes into Manchester United. He loves Donny van der Beek. He plays Donny van der Beek, and then he absolutely makes that World Cup squad because he's playing games for Manchester United regularly, and who knows if he'll play well or not. I can't predict the future. But That's a lot of hypotheticals there. That's a lot of gambling. That's a lot of assuming that certain things are going to happen. And as we know at Manchester United, you can't assume anything. Who knows what's going to happen over the course of the next 6 months or so? And I think that at this point, like I said, he's a seat filler. Yes, obviously, against Aston Villa, he came on. He came on and Ralph was very happy with how Manchester United controlled the game, dictated the tempo. He said we were much more in control. We switched to a diamond. Donny played well. There's a chance he could start tomorrow. But I just always think, what would my reaction be? What would my reaction be if I wasn't playing, like barely, and I go to the manager going, look, I get it. If you don't think I'm good enough for the first team, that's fine. Let me go on loan. I'm not even saying that I hate it here. I really like it here. I just need to play. There's a World Cup coming up at the end of the year. That happens once every 4 years. It's the dream to play in it. Please let me go on loan and we can reevaluate when it comes back to the summer. And if they said, I kind of need you to the end of the season, I'd be like, but you don't. You don't. you don't need me to the end of the season because I'm not playing. And again, this idea of, but we've got a game every 3 days. I know. But even when we have a game every 3 days, I don't play in any of them. Or maybe I come on for 5 minutes. So, again, like Dean Henderson, I just let him go. Let him go on loan. And if you're worried about squad depth, if you're worried about players, not being available, or we need squad depth, get some of the young guys in. Call some of the young guys back. And you could say, but you're stifling their development because they're going to be sitting on the bench. But certainly they're going to be more content to sit on the bench than Donny van der Beek. I think that's the situation there. But when it comes to whether or not he will go out on loan in January, again, I think it's, like I said earlier on this morning, I think it's a one in, one out kind of situation. If we do bring in Zakaria, then maybe Donny van der Beek will go. But we'll see when it comes to that. Let me know what you think in the live chat as well. Let me know in the free seats if you think that Donny's going to go in January. I lean towards no. I just don't see that happening. I don't. Next question was from Simon Stone, who spoke about Ralph Rangnick previously saying that we need to get the balance right between defence and offence. He said it a couple of times now, before games, after games, etc. He said to Ralph, what are you doing to get that right? What are you doing to strike that right balance between defense and attack? And most importantly, do you think the players actually have that balance or have it in them to find that balance? This is what Rangnick said, quote, I was fully aware this couldn't happen overnight. It's a work in progress. We have shown we have conceded fewer goals, but it's still about controlling the game. Obviously, we have taken a few steps, but things can still get better to find the best formation. This is a really interesting answer. This is a really interesting answer when it comes to what Ralph Rangnick's saying here. Now, obviously, he's right in the sense that any revolution at Manchester United isn't going to happen overnight. I think we kind of maybe convinced ourselves that maybe was possible because we saw what happened last year with Chelsea. Thomas Tuchel came in and essentially transformed them overnight. But I think the Chelsea players probably maybe had a better mentality than some of these Manchester United players had, and maybe had more quality than some of these Manchester United players have. So we kind of thought, well, maybe Ralph can do what Thomas Tuchel did. Maybe we can see that bounce. That hasn't really happened. But Ralph was saying he was aware that this wouldn't happen overnight, and it is a work in progress. I'm the whole conceding fewer goals thing and more clean sheets. To me, it's a bit of a falsehood. Obviously, on paper, it is true. We have kept more clean sheets. We have conceded fewer goals. That is fair. That's factually accurate. The numbers are there. The numbers don't lie. However, I would love to know the conceding chances or how many saves David De Gea is making per game, because you cannot say that we are defending really any better than we were previously, because we're not. We're not defending any better than we were previously. We're just not. We're still conceding so many chances. Against Aston Villa on Monday, yes, we kept a clean sheet, but barely. But barely. They had 2 goals correctly chalked off from VAR. David De Gea had to make a load of saves. And it happens in every game. It's still the same as it was previously in that we concede a lot of chances and David De Gea has to bail us out. Yes, we're conceding less goals. Yes, it's more clean sheets, but it depends on the game, because look at the teams we faced. We faced Norwich. They can't score goals. Newcastle. They can't score goals, but they did against us. Wolves. We lost to them, but their issue this season, again, has been scoring goals. Villa. They should have scored goals on Monday. That's just kind of the situation. I still do think if we go up against a side that's really clinical, one of these top 6 sides, we will struggle still because they'll be far more clinical than some of the teams we've played previously. So I'm not sure I'm, totally on the fewer goals thing. As he mentioned, have we taken some steps? I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Do you think Manchester United have taken steps since Ralf Rangnick has taken charge? And again, I don't mean this to be a blame game on Ralf Rangnick, because I'm not going to blame Ralf Rangnick. The guy's been in there 6 weeks, and I think he sort of, if Manchester United was a car, I think he's popped the hood or the bonnet or wherever you're from and has lifted it and gone, wow, this car I thought was in bad shape, but it's really in bad shape. Man, I've got my work cut out for me. I didn't realise it was going to be this bad. And that's on the players. It's a mentality issue. And it's kind of like what Cristiano Ronaldo said in the interview this week. And Ralf Rangnick said it's, things can still get better, find the right formation. He's obviously tinkering with a lot of formations at the moment, whether it's 3 at the back, whether it's 4-2-2, whether it's 4-2-3-1. I think he thinks that I've just got to find the right formation, the right system, and then we can maybe go from there. But it's bigger than that. Like Cristiano Ronaldo said, it's, formations are one thing, and they are something that if your team's playing well, or your team at least does have this desire, if they still do have this desire, then the formation can really improve you. But if the mentality isn't there, if the drive isn't there, if the desire isn't there, then formations are redundant. It's you need to be able to be willing to run. You need to be willing to pass the ball, be able to pass the ball 5 yards, or actually keep the ball, and all this kind of stuff. Formations, can come in after that, and I think that's his biggest challenge here. I think that's his biggest challenge. Next question was from Andy Mitten, who said, you still say you're a work in progress, and you mentioned about trying to find the right balance there, but what areas are you looking to improve specifically? This is what Rangnick had to say. He had quite a lot to say about this one. This was quite interesting. He said, quote, if you want to control or dominate games, you can do it in 2 ways. One, how you play when the other team is in possession and not being weak on the counter-attack. The other is to gain control when you are in possession of the ball. We have taken a few steps, but not as quickly as I would have hoped and wanted it to be. As coaches, you are never patient. You always want to develop faster. It's all about the results of each game, and that is true tomorrow. So, in fairness, I agree with him there. I absolutely agree with him there in that, and I've said this since Rangnick came in. Yes, we can talk about performances. Yes, we can talk about formations, all that kind of stuff. Ultimately, it's a result business, and ultimately, he's in there to get results. That's all it is. That's all it is when it comes to Ralf Rangnick at the moment. It's all about getting results and winning games. And I think I mentioned this after the game on Monday, that I think that kind of performance, that kind of game, I think that's Manchester United to the end of the season. I really do. I think that we're going to scrape through games. It's what we've done all season. We're going to scrape through games. Ultimately, we've got quality in there. It's not as if we've got bad players. We do have good players, so they will get us through games. We will have moments of quality. We'll have moments of luck. We'll have David De Gea that will bail us out. We'll have Cristiano Ronaldo. We'll have whoever. We'll get goals, and we'll scrape through some games. And it's a result business. And ultimately, Ralf Rangnick's season will be determined as to if it was a success or not. It will be determined as to, what he achieves. If he gets the top 4, if he wins the FA Cup, if he gets to the latter stages in the Champions League, that will be what determines whether he's a success or not. Not necessarily performances. We can have great performances, but if we still achieve nothing this season, he will be considered as a failure. It will just be a case of, okay, we're waiting for the next manager to come in. But I think it's interesting that and this is my point as well. When he's watching some of the performances in these games, he's aware this isn't how he wants the team to play. It's not as if he's watching on the touchline and seeing these terrible performances and he's going, this is how I want us to play. We're getting there. No, he's like, we've taken some steps, but nowhere near as quickly as I would have hoped, and not as quickly as I would have wanted it to be. And that's not just because coaches are never patient. That's because it's taken longer. And I think if you really read into that one, I think if you really read into what he's saying there, once again, he's saying that's a mentality issue. Because an elite level mentality player, when I say this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to play, you need to press here, this is what triggers the press, these are the tactics, etc., 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 players would take that on board. They wouldn't do what some of these players have done, which is piss and moan, and say, I'm not sure about the tactics, or I'm not sure about Ralf Rangnick, or I'm not sure about the coach, or I'm not sure about the training schedule, I'm not sure about this, that, and the other, all that kind of stuff. I think he's saying that, he expected these players to be sort of open to new ideas, open to new tactics, open to new methods, because they shouldn't be doing the same stuff they were doing before, because that wasn't working, obviously. But that's why the manager got sacked. That's why they find themselves where they are in the league. but it's taken time. I don't know if the players have bought in. He didn't really mention like he did last time. Well, they're listening. They're listening. I think they're listening at least. He didn't mention that before. Didn't mention that this time, but he's aware. He's certainly aware. And as Amin says there, maybe it's a case of it has to get worse before it can get better. Maybe that's the case. The final question came from Michael Gray, and then we'll get into the preview for tomorrow's game. So he said, obviously, you've only lost one game, which was against Wolves. He said, but I think it would be fair to say the performance haven't been as good as you expected. Is that due to confidence? It was a good question by Michael Gray. Not really sugarcoating it, saying, yeah, you won some games and you've only lost one game, which is good, but you can't exactly say that Man United have been playing well because they haven't been. Ralph Rangnick said, quote, as I said, in the first instance, it was about getting results, points. We were all distracted by the defeat against Wolves. It is now about getting results and getting as many points as we can. It's about balance. How offensive can we play without conceding too many goals? What is interesting, I think, is I recall, and again, I don't mean this as a slight against Ralph Rangnick, but it does remind me a lot of the Louis van Gaal era of Manchester United. It does. Because I recalled the exact same responses by Louis van Gaal. I recalled the exact same responses when he was saying it's about finding the right balance and finding balance in the side and being attacking but also being defensively strong and doing this and doing that. And he is obviously right, but certainly that balance isn't there at the moment. Certainly that balance isn't there because, we're not playing particularly attacking, but definitely you could argue we were hardly defensively resolute against Aston Villa on Monday because we conceded a ton of chances. So, again, it's an interesting response. I think in his mind, as he's mentioned a couple of times in this press conference, I think that he thinks that it's about finding the right system for Manchester United, and then it will all click. And I think that's maybe a fraction of it. If we can find the right formation, find the right tactics, obviously the 4-2-2 isn't it. That would be his preferred system, but it just ain't going to work with this group of players. Whether that's because we don't have the right players or they don't have the right, tactical football IQ for that, I don't know. But I think he thinks if I can find the right formation, then maybe the players will buy into what I'm saying a little bit more, and then we can kind of go from there. And he hasn't really found that yet. So whether or not that's what we'll find tomorrow, who knows? But let's get into the match preview. Obviously, it's a huge game tomorrow. The last Prem outing, obviously, we lost. Even though we had the win on Monday against Villa in the FA Cup, once you refocus to the Premier League, obviously the last game was against Wolves and we lost that one. And kind of was what the journalists were alluding to in that press conference, the performances haven't been good enough. And the majority, shall we say, of the results have been there for Ralph Rangnick, apart from that 1-0 loss against Wolves. But the performances have certainly not been there. And the follow-up question to that would then be, okay then, Owen, performances haven't been there, so do you expect a performance tomorrow? No, no, not really. No, I don't really expect much of a performance tomorrow, honestly. I expected a reaction, a performance on Monday against Aston Villa in the FA Cup. We maybe got that for 10 minutes, maybe. We scored the goal. We started relatively bright. McTominay did a couple of switches to Rashford, and Rashford's decision-making again was poor. But we did not get a reaction. We did not get a really impressive performance on Monday. And I don't think we'll get one tomorrow. I don't. This is us. Like I said earlier on, this is Manchester United at this point. This is it. This is Manchester United at this point, in that we will still have moments. We will still get maybe a couple of chances in the game. We will still scrape through games. We've still got good players. But and that's defensively and offensively. We've still got the likes of Ronaldo and Cavani and Bruno Fernandes and Jadon Sancho and Rashford and all these players. We've still got them. So we're still going to get chances and we're still going to create chances. Mason Greenwood as well. But we've still got the poor mentality and we still leak chances. David De Gea will still have to make saves. David De Gea will still have to bail us out of games, which is what he's been doing. He'll have to do it tomorrow. And that's not, and again, it's almost not on the coach. It's not on the coach at this point. That's not Ralph Rangnick's fault. That's just Manchester United. That's how Manchester United approach games. I get the impression, and again, I'm not obviously on the training pitch every day of the week, so I don't know this to be factually accurate. This is, I guess, me speculating. If that's wrong, I hold my hands up. But you get the impression that all week, these players are coached a certain way and they're given a tactical game plan and they're told do this, this, and this. This is what we want to do. This is how we want to approach the game. And they blow the whistle and then just everything just goes out the window. Everything goes out the window. Because you can't tell me that Ralph and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer have the same tactical philosophy or they like to set up the teams the same way. They just don't. They don't. But the performances are exactly the same. Exactly the same. There is no difference. No difference in terms of anything. So again, it would imply that, again, it's a player issue. It is a player issue. So these players need to have the right mentality. And that's what Cristiano Ronaldo said in the interview that he did this week. You know, that these players, it's a new year, however you want to approach it, whether you go, okay, it's a new year, new me. I know it's cliche, but okay, this year I'm going to really push and try hard. Not as if, you're a Manchester United player and you should be doing that anyway, but maybe it's a case of just, okay, right now we turn it on. Now we can resurrect this season. But I just don't see that. I don't. Honestly, Aston Villa, they'll be very confident. They will. That's what's crazy about the game on Monday. That's what's crazy about that result. Yes, Manchester United won that game. Yes, Manchester United knocked Aston Villa out of the FA Cup. And yes, Manchester United ultimately were happy because they went through and Aston Villa went out. But realistically, that result on Monday, it's kind of irrelevant because Villa will come out of that game at Old Trafford on Monday saying, we can beat this lot. We can absolutely beat this lot easily. If they play like that again and we just manage to put the ball in the back of the net, which is what we didn't do on Monday, we can beat this lot. And it's different as well. It's an away game. New players have come in. United, after Monday's game, will be like, you know what? We got away with one. Because from basically 45 minutes onwards, we had our backs against the wall. We defended for the majority of the game. We rode our luck. That was it. So United will be aware of that, and that seed will be planted in their head. And again, Villa will be confident. And again, this time it's a different game as well. It's away, so you've got the away fans there. Villa's tails will be up anyway, because again, they'll be confident. And just on top of that, they've got new players, of course, Coutinho, Digne. There's a chance they'll both start. I don't know if they both will, but so the crowd will be up for that. The players will be up for that. They'll fancy themselves. They will 100% fancy themselves against us tomorrow, which again speaks volumes to where Manchester United are at the moment. And I don't mean to be that negative fan. Oh, you're just being negative. Why can't you be positive coming into the game? You can't tell me. And I guarantee you would speak to any Aston Villa fan and these Villa players, they would be like, yeah, I fancy us to get a result tomorrow because we played well on Monday. And, we just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And maybe that'll be different. So I really do think that it's going to be a tough one. I do. Now, when it comes to team news for Manchester United tomorrow, of course, we've got some suspensions. Luke Shaw and Scott McTominay, they're unavailable for tomorrow's game. The pair are suspended for one Premier League game after accumulating their 5th bookings of the season against Wolves the prior week. So no Luke Shaw or McTominay. Victor Lindelof is back after his COVID-enforced absence. He made his return in the FA Cup match. As Ralph Rangnick said, Harry Maguire and Phil Jones should be available for tomorrow. We know that Eric Bailly, of course, is in the Africa Cup of Nations, so he's not available. As Ralph Rangnick also mentioned as well, Cristiano Ronaldo and Jadon Sancho, they were not risked on Monday night due to some muscular problems, but as Rangnick mentioned in the press conference, they both should also be available for tomorrow. Diogo Dalot, there was a bit of speculation as to whether he was going to play. He suffered a nasty gash on his ankle, but he played the full 90 minutes of the tie, so he should be available as well. When it comes to team news for Aston Villa, this is quite a big one actually. John McGinn, like Shaw and McTominay, is suspended due to picking up a 5th yellow card of the Premier League season. And I don't really like to focus too much on opposition players going, if they don't play, and I'm glad they're not playing, but John McGinn played really well against Man United on Monday. He really ran that midfield for them, so that's a big miss. Obviously, they've got players coming in, but that's a massive miss. A massive miss for Aston Villa. Marvelous Nakamba and Leon Bailey as well. They're going to be on the sidelines for Villa, so they're not available. Although Ashley Young is believed to be returning, close to returning, so maybe he'll play at Old Trafford. Who knows? Bertrand Traore and Trezeguet are also participating in the Africa Cup of Nations. But obviously they've got some players coming in, as we mentioned. Philippe Coutinho on loan from Barcelona. He could make his debut against United tomorrow. And Lucas Digne obviously is in line to feature after finalising his transfer from Everton. So they've got players going in and out, I suppose, as well. So obviously, like a lot of people, concerned about the whole Coutinho thing. I think people obviously are concerned about the Coutinho thing. It worries you, doesn't it? Steven Gerrard, Coutinho, kissing the camera. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I'm not even going to think about it. I don't even want to put it out there into the universe, even though I just did. So when it comes to a predicted team, this is how I think Manchester United will line up. I think De Gea in goal, obviously. I think Dalot, despite getting the knock on the ankle, I think he'll play. I thought he did okay against Villa on Monday. I certainly don't expect Wan-Bissaka to start. Kind of like what me and Flex spoke about the other day. I think that the right fullback position is going to become, once again, a big point for Manchester United. Not now in the January transfer window, but I think in the summer. I think that Ralph Rangnick's kind of come to the conclusion of maybe sort of everyone. Maybe everyone when it comes to that right back position just isn't good enough. Maybe Wan-Bissaka's not good enough going forward rather, and Dalot's not good enough defensively. Why are we in the situation where we're going, well, if this guy, but not this guy, but maybe this guy? And, no, let's just get a new right back. We've been linked with Lamptey, and I think there's a reason for that. So I think we'll have De Gea, Dalot, Varane, and good to see him getting a run of games in terms of fitness. This is the difficult one, isn't it? For me, it should be Lindelof. It should be Lindelof. Lindelof played on Monday. We didn't concede. Did we defend well? No. Did Lindelof play particularly well? Not really. But I would say that Varane and Lindelof looked calm. They looked relatively at ease. They didn't panic, certainly when they were playing it out from the back or anything like that. So it should be Varane and Lindelof. I think ultimately it would probably be Varane and Maguire. If Maguire is available, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, and it should be a case of Rangnick going, well, this, they didn't concede, so screw it. We're going to keep them the way they are. But I don't think that's going to happen. Ultimately, I don't. Left back, of course, there's no Luke Shaw, so it'll be Alex Telles comes in. Interesting one when it comes to the midfield. Now, formation-wise, actually, I should say, I do think they'll stick with the 4-2-3-1. That's what we played against Villa. There is a possibility they'll go to the diamond that they had later on, but I think we'll probably start with the 4-2-3-1 again. But I wouldn't be totally shocked, it must be said, if they went to the diamond. I wouldn't be totally shocked with that. But let's say it's going to be a 4-2-3-1. I think it will be Fred. And then it's this discussion of, right, is it Matic or is it Donny? And I think it would be Nemanja Matic. I'm not saying it should be Nemanja Matic, but I think it probably would be. I think it probably would be. Because I think Rangnick will think about his defensive midfielders, Donny doesn't have the qualities that he's looking for in a defensive midfielder. I think it would be Matic. So then the three players in front of him, I think would be Bruno in the 10. I think Rashford shouldn't play, obviously. He was poor. He was poor against Aston Villa, and I think it would almost be at this point bad management to keep persisting with him. Obviously, he's struggling with confidence. Obviously, he might not be completely fully fit still, even when he's recovering from his surgery in the summer. All that kind of stuff. The best thing for Marcus Rashford is right now, just take him out the side. Just take him out the side, give him a couple of games out, and then maybe bring him on. Hopefully, Man United will be winning when you bring him on. But, or even if you have to bring him on later on in the game and United are chasing the game and he gets a goal. Whatever. He just should be taken out the side, I think. So I would say Bruno in the 10. I would say Sancho on the left, Greenwood on the right, and then you'd probably have Ronaldo up front. Depending on fitness, it might be Cavani, but I think it'll be Ronaldo. Cavani, by the way, playing on a Monday and a Saturday, I think would break him in half with his fitness record. So I think it will most likely be Ronaldo up front. But obviously we could see a diamond. If it is a diamond, then that team will look considerably different, I think. So it was interesting. I mean, what formation do you think that Man United are going to play? This is the thing, and Ralph Rangnick kind of mentioned it in his press conference, that I don't think he's totally sure. He's still looking for it. He's still looking for that formation. He's still looking for the right formation for Manchester United, or the right system going forward. I think he's come to the determination it's not the 4-2-2. I think it's not the 4-2-2, and that's just not what United are going to use. I'd be really surprised if when the whistle goes tomorrow and the kickoff goes and we see that United are lining up again in the 4-2-2, I'd be shocked. I really would be shocked. I don't think United will do that. I think it'll be 4-2-3-1, or I think it'll be maybe the diamond, but I'm leaning more towards the 4-2-3-1. So let me know what you think with your predicted lineup. What's your predicted lineup, and what predicted formation do you think United are going to go for as well? In terms of a prediction overall, again, I'm not, and you know me, I'm not big on predictions because I'm always just like, you never know. You never know, and you can, Man United are unpredictable at the best of times, especially now, but I'd be lying if I said I thought United will win. I think we might get a draw. I would be surprised if we kept a clean sheet again, because I just think we've been conceding too many chances, and I think that maybe with the new signings that Villa have got and the away fans, that might just be enough just to get them over the line to score this time. But again, I would not be being truthful, shall we say, if I thought that Manchester United were going to play well tomorrow or get a win. We might. I mean, I wasn't hugely confident going into Monday's game. We got a 1-0 win, so anything's possible. I'm going to probably go with a draw. I'm going to probably say 1-1. I mean, we've only had the Burnley game where we scored more than one goal as well. So that's my concern too, is that if they do go 1-0 up, are we going to score loads of goals? Because we haven't been as well. So I'm going to go with 1-1, but I'm not sure. United says Alanga and Cavani on top would mean a lot of running and pressing at least. Steve H says De Gea, Shaw, well, obviously Shaw suspended. Varane, Lindelof, Dalot, Fred, McTominay suspended as well. Greenwood, Sancho, Bruno, Cavani. Tabarez with a super chat, appreciate the contribution, says the legend Owen in the house, big up, I want 4-3-3. I think a lot of people want 4-3-3, but I'm not sure that we'll get that. Unfortunately. Steffi Jenks says, will you be doing the watch along? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if KG's doing or not. If KG is not doing it, then I guess I will be. But I don't know. I don't know to answer that. We'll find out soon. A-Bub says, 3-1 United. The new signings will mess up their chemistry. Interesting. Maybe it will be a hindrance to them. I'm not sure. I think certainly the crowd at Villa Park will be a big problem for United. And there's no doubt about that. They'll be up for it tomorrow, 100%. And like I said, given the performance that they did against United on Monday, I think they'll fancy themselves. I think they really will fancy themselves. Henrik says, Owen, more quiz. Yes, like I said before, we are. That quiz at Christmas was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And I think there really some plan to do one at least once a month. I don't know if that's properly official. I don't even know if I should be saying that or not. But I think there is a hope, certainly, to do at least one a month. It's difficult to get everyone available, I suppose, but they are a lot of fun. They are a lot of fun to do, absolutely. But anyway, guys, look, we'll wrap it up there. As I mentioned, tomorrow there's going to be a full match day experience tomorrow. So there's going to be, obviously, the road trip with Flex in the morning. There's going to be the match viewing, whoever that's with. There's going to be the match reaction, which I'll definitely be on. We'll have the full view. We'll have a good panel there, of course. We'll have DJ, hopefully get Cam involved and some other people too. We'll also then have, obviously, all of the fan views from Flex outside Villa Park. Hopefully breaking down a Manchester United victory, fingers crossed. And then the following day, on Sunday, we'll be back with another full view as well, which is going to be exciting as well. So look, guys, smash a like on the video. Plenty of content coming up in the future, so be sure to subscribe. Bottom right hand corner, click the notification bell. You'll be notified every single time we go live. Anyway, guys, look, have a great Friday. I'll speak to you again very, very soon.